Simon, you really shouldn't post that because you're going to get someone coming up with a crazy opinion of you and they might send you a message telling you you're an asshole. And I'm like, yay, and then move forward with it. That's just my view.
Welcome to the Fitpreneurs, the show that will help you flex your business muscles so you can make more money and live the life you really want. No more complaining, whining, or being a wimp. It's time to pump up your fitness business and push yourself beyond your comfort zone. So no girly man or lazy ladies allowed. It's time for me to do some push-ups and turn things over to my friends AJ Roberts and Simon Lovell. Hasta la vista.
Video killed the radio star. Welcome to the Fitpreneurs, episode number 7, where we are talking about video marketing with myself, Simon Lovell, and all the way from San Diego, Mr. AJ Roberts.
How's it going?
Yeah, good.
Going good, yeah. It's we got a heat wave going on here. It's insane. Not used to such hot weather. It's usually like 70. I think it's up to like 78 or something like that. But there's humidity, and we hardly ever have humidity. So it's been an interesting last few days. And I'm not complaining. It's much better than snow, which I was out in Arizona last weekend for a seminar, powerlifting seminar I was running over the weekend. And Arizona, I've always believed to be a nice and warm place, much like Florida. And so I just had shorts and T-shirt. And lo and behold, the first day I'm there driving to the gym to host the seminar, and it snowed. And it's snowing as I'm driving. And I had to stop and get some supplies from the gas station, some water and Gatorade and stuff for the day. And I had to dash in the snow inside. So I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't prepared for that. So I've had quite the weird experience with weather recently. But I guess anything's better than the UK, right?
Well, I was just going to say that, I will, the sun is out and then I'll take, my jumper off, put a T-shirt on, go outside. And then by the time I get back, I'm soaking drenched. Of course, you know what it's like. The weather is up and down. But do you know what? I am super excited because this month I'm off to Monaco. I'm off to see you. I'm going to be in San Diego. There's going to be some sun. The sun means that my energy is lifted, my mood changes. And actually, someone posted on Facebook today, I'm feeling a bit down in the dumps. Does anyone else get affected by the weather? And do you know what? I definitely do get affected by the weather. When the sun's shining, I can go and sit outside and work on the laptop. I am in a much better mood than when it's dripping with rain.
Yeah. Definitely. I've definitely seen that for me when you're over here. It's like you go into hyper productive mode and
bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, you get shit done.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited about that. I've just had a trailer of a documentary released, which is over at thefitprostory.com. This is actually quite relevant to this episode because it's all about video. If you head over there to thefitprostory.com, you will see some kind of music and video techniques. And we're really, in this episode, going to be covering a lot about how to use video in your marketing to bring in clients, to build that relationship with people around you. And it's just going to be a really good episode. AJ, what else has been happening in your neck of the woods?
Honestly, man, I'm, Marketing Genesis, we're getting ready for another launch here. So we've been cranking things down. Our software webinar jam is going really well. And we're just turning around for the next product launch. So we're actually in video scripting mode. We've been scripting out the videos for that over the last week, and we're getting ready to go into production here and shooting. So, you got the documentary. We got these launch videos we're about to come out with. And anyone who knows Andy Jenkins and have seen any of his previous videos to know how much of a video boss he is. And so it's cool working alongside him and partnering with him and Mike on Marketing Genesis and some of the stuff we have planned is we like to go above and beyond with the video stuff. And so this is a great episode. This is a great timing for both of us, I think. You've been on TV and you do a lot of video. And then, of course, that's a staple of our business too. So this should be a good one.
Definitely, and since we are a podcast, it's highly relevant to be talking about video. However, we can have a video podcast, which I think we will transition into at some point. Maybe, in fact, we'll do maybe a special episode when I come over there, and we can have a video podcast on iTunes because I know they allow that too.
Yeah, yesterday I did a podcast interview for an Alpha Male podcast, and
I've done that one. Was that the same?
Yeah,
guy?
I think you recommended me actually. So with Adam, right?
I doubt that.
Oh, very doubtful. Anyway, so he had the camera on, and of course the microphone setup it's just right in front of the camera. So all you saw was a huge microphone in front of my face. a long object. So I'm not quite sure how the video, the people I know who do the video podcast have a video photographer filming that. So we'll have to get a victim to hold a camera for us while we just talk for an hour.
So, in the episode today, guys, we're going to be covering loads about video marketing, about pattern interrupts, about the content delivery. What should you be talking about in your videos? The calls to action. So, getting people to take a specific action. If you're going to create any type of video, then you need to make sure that you have the end in mind. But the thing is that we can provide you with all of this useful information on creating videos. But if you have a fear about putting a video out there, then all of this information is useless. So I want to start off the podcast really by talking a lot about the mindset shift that needs to happen, because you may at the moment be thinking, well, what will other trainers think of me if I put out a video? What happens if I come across as a weirdo? And do you know what? I'm sure that you're listening to this having broken through lots of different barriers, maybe the fear of actually becoming a trainer in the first place. So doing video is just another little hurdle that you've got to get across. And once you've done one and you start to get some feedback, then, it's never going to be perfect from the get-go. And, when I started doing, TV work and I started doing presenting, then that was a learned skill. It's something that you can develop. You can become better on camera. You can become, AJ has got a fantastic face for radio. Come on, AJ, I meant to laugh at that.
I can laugh on command.
Yeah, you weren't paying attention.
You jumped ahead on the content here, and I got lost for a minute. I was like, where are we going here? But
so the point really is that you can really leverage the power of video marketing in your personal trainer business or your fitness business, but you've got to make that first step. You've got to, get your iPhone out. You've got to get your camera out and just post something, and then you're just going to get used to it. AJ, what are your thoughts on doing video? I mean, I know that we're slightly different on the video side, but what are your thoughts about getting in front of camera? And what do you see some of the big mistakes that people make in that initial first kind of video?
Yeah, so the thing with video, and I think that this is important to understand, and, what's interesting is radio has never gone away, and books have never gone away, and things like that. But when television first came into play, basically we didn't know how to use television, and so the first thing they did was just read the radio. So they had a guy on there, and he just basically, it was like the radio being read, and then they filmed the radio station, and then eventually what we know as TV now is what we've seen. And we've even seen an evolution there with reality TV and things like that from sitcoms, and television has changed dramatically. But if you think back to when they first started, you think to yourself, man, people actually read the TV, right? They had words on the screen and people would read the TV. Well, it's the same as the internet in a sense, and the phones and everything like that. At some point in time, I predicted in the future, we're going to look at the computer screen or the tablet or whatever it is that people have, and people aren't really going to read on them, because video is so much more interactive, so much more powerful. And so the point is, of course, none of this stuff is going to go away, but the truth of the matter is eventually video is going to surpass it in terms of viewership, in terms of attention getting. And so if you don't embrace it now, you're going to be behind, because by the time it does come around to being something that's expected, okay? Because right now, like, you can get away with a blog post. Video is not necessarily expected, but it's definitely more powerful. But at some point, it's going to be like expected, and if you don't have it, it's going to almost be ignored. And I think that that's really what people have to understand, is that you can't hide from video if you want to run a successful business and have a business online. You definitely can't hide from video. It's one of those things where it becomes a core integration of your marketing plan. And to be honest, it's so much more powerful than anything else that it's really not worth, like, you can't afford to miss it out of your formula, And the biggest thing, the mistake that people make is just trying to be perfectionists with it. We're lucky enough, thanks to YouTube, we live in a culture where basically people are used to short, couple-minute videos that aren't shot on, these real expensive cameras. And back in the day, to buy a video camera, you were looking at, a serious investment. And now every single person has one in their pocket, and it shoots at 1080. And, you can get a little plug-in microphone and pretty much have very, 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 very high definition, high quality video without spending anything more than your cell phone. So we're in this phase now where it's like people expect video and they don't necessarily expect it to be ridiculously high quality. Now, if you have the ability to do high quality, it definitely does make a difference. It does separate you that much more from the pack. But the point is just doing a video is going to position you ahead of 99% of the people out there. And so these are the things when we talk, we're not talking about just average businesses. We're not talking about building an average business or an average lifestyle. We talk about the extremity in terms of being the very best, in terms of, really owning your space in the marketplace. And if you want to do that, video has to be an integral part of your business.
Definitely. I was just going to say, becoming a fitpreneur and you guys listening to this podcast means that you want to separate yourself. And if it becomes a choice between someone in your area picking you or someone else, then if you can connect with someone on that deeper level, if you can show your vulnerable side, if you can provide value, then and doing it on video is a fantastic, great way to connect. Now, the first thing that we want to talk about is, I mean, we're going to come on to, different bits of equipment and content, but the first thing you want to do is get over that initial fear. So my advice would be I talk about this on my Facebook profile yesterday, which is about kind of mind stacking. And if someone's not moving forward, it's typically because they are seeing far more many negatives to something than a positive. So if someone's not moving forward in their business or they're not doing anything, then chances are mind-wise, psychology-wise, they've got more reasons to not do it than to do it. Before we even kind of go into this, we just need to remind you guys to really get focused on all of the benefits to how video is going to help your business. Okay? So if you can stack in your mind all the positives, then if you do have this fear, then that will tend to subside. But if you're thinking of all the reasons why you shouldn't, what people think of me, how I'm going to come across, and you've got more of those things that you're focusing on than the benefit of getting a client, do you understand that you're never going to do video?
Yeah, I think we mentioned this in the last episode. If memory serves me right, I don't know. I do so many different things that sometimes it all seems to blur together. But one of my mentors, Anil Gupta, always says, what other people think of you is none of your business. And, the truth is most of the time that they're not thinking about you. They're so worried about themselves. And so we tend to make these blockages up and create this resistance for an imaginary reason. And so, like you said, if you can understand the benefits of the video and how the video is going to serve you in your business, and if you look at it like an asset, so every time you create a piece of content or a piece of video, that's an asset for your business. That is, is a value add to your business because that is a piece of content that is going to stay around forever. And so, we mentioned this before too. Essentially, you may not have that many viewers the first video you put out. Maybe you only have 5. Maybe it's just your friends that see the video. But eventually, there's going to be a tipping point. And we're seeing it with the podcast even. That people basically are coming in at episode 4, episode 5, and they go back and they listen to episode 1, 2, and 3. And that's what's going to happen with your videos. People are going to go back and they're going to watch the videos that you've created over the years. And they'll go all the way back to the beginning. And you know what? Maybe those beginning videos when you'll look back and you'll laugh at how bad they were in terms of quality or how bad they were in terms of the scenery or whatever it is. You'll go back and look at it and laugh. And the point is it's not where you start. It's the fact that you get started. And when you get started, you're now adding value to your business. You're adding, assets to your company. And essentially what you're doing is you're creating this stream of video that anyone at any point in time can pick up, tune in, and go and listen to you. And of course, in terms of positioning, expert positioning is everything. And we talked about that before as well. And this is just something, like having a website is considered, important for a personal trainer. If you don't have a website, people can't look you up. They won't consider you an expert. Well, video is one of those things as well. If you don't have any content out there, it changes you in terms of being an expert. You put video out there and they go search. Imagine if someone searched your name and came up with, 20 something videos on YouTube of you giving, tips on workouts and stuff like that. They're going to assume you must really know your stuff because you're putting content out there. So there's so many benefits to it that really the negatives, there is no negatives apart from if you say something that isn't true and you're making stuff up. But I don't think anyone listening to this podcast is going to be doing that, to be honest.
One of the biggest reasons why people say, Fit Pros say they hire me a lot of the time is because of the videos they've seen. And if I hadn't put out the videos I put out, they're worth to me hundreds of thousands per year. And so what you've got to do, guys, in your head is go, look, if I do this one video, that potentially to me could be worth thousands and thousands of pounds if you're signing people up, especially on packages, then you got to look at the downside of you not doing video as opposed as also in terms of the positive. So let's start with the kind of imagine you've got your setup and you're ready to shoot. Then the first thing you want to do is you want to grab people's attention. Okay. And there's something in the industry which is called a pattern interrupt. And that's basically a way for you to grab people's attention, but really direct their train of thought so that you kind of surprise them. So, for example, as a fitness professional, if you're talking about belly fat, for example, you might want to start off your video and you can buy those like pound of fat. You can buy a pound of fat and a pound of muscle. You might want to start by like just holding that in front of the camera, and people are like going to be like, "What's that?" So it just changes their train of thought. Or it might be something funny that you say. It might be like an outtake. And so what it's doing is it's just people might have been on scrolling through the Facebook news feed, and then they suddenly click on this video. They don't want it to be bland. It needs to be something that grabs the attention, changes the train of thought, so that people are more open now to the message that you are going to share with them.
Right. And the funny, you mentioned the pound of fat. My mind almost went right to the sumo suit and thought about, two people bouncing around in a sumo suit or something. But, the idea of the pattern interrupt, and this is something that I learned from Frank Kern, but the idea of the pattern interrupt is to stop that train of thought like, oh, this is trying to sell me something, or this is just another video, all right? Because there is other people putting content out there. There is other people doing stuff. And so you don't want to be the same as everyone else, because when someone is scrolling their news feed or is searching on YouTube, you want to stand out so that you grab their attention. It's all about the attention grabber, all right? And with video, you don't have the benefit of the headline once they've hit play. You can have a headline above the video, which then leads them to hit play, but it's all about them taking the next step. Whenever we create anything, it's all about, every line in the video, it leads them to that next line. And at any point they get bored or distracted, they're gonna bounce. And so the very beginning of the video is the most important part, because they've clicked play and now do they watch? And if you've been watching YouTube videos recently, you'll notice they now have the 30-second advertisements, but within 5 seconds they allow you to skip. I would love to get statistics on how many people skip, because my guess is an phenomenal amount. And the reason for that is most of the ads that people are running on YouTube, and I watch this stuff because this is what I get excited about. But most of the ads I watch on YouTube, with that first 5 seconds where I can't skip the video, there is nothing there to make me want to watch the rest of that video. They're not spending the time to create a specific 5-second intro to grab me, to hold my attention. They're just running a regular commercial like they would on television, and they're missing the fact that you don't have very long to basically captivate your audience. And if you can do that and do that well at the beginning, and you'll hold them for the length of the video. And the best way to do that is with a pattern interrupt, which basically is, oh, what's this? They're not expecting it. If they're not expecting it, it kind of changes their train of thought, and they're not like, oh, this is just another tips video, or this is another workout video. There's this pattern interrupt that gets them, that grabs their attention and draws them in, and then you hold them with the actual content. But for most people, they want to go right into the content. And the problem with that is if a person thinks they know what you're going to say, or thinks they know that there's a sale coming, there's a good chance that they'll bounce and they'll leave. And if you think of it like when you walk into to go look at cars or into a clothing store, and people ask you, do you need help? You always say no, but you always need help. But you always say no, because we have this gut reaction where it's like, no, I don't want help. I don't want to be pressured. I don't want to have people trying to sell me stuff. I know I know your stick. I know what you're going to do. So we just basically try to eliminate that thought pattern at the beginning. And that's what the pattern interrupt does. It basically breaks down the barriers and then opens them up to receive and accept our content.
Now, if you've got a particularly quirky personality, then these pattern interrupts are going to be a bit easier for you. But a really important lesson is that you want to try and become as relaxed as you can, on camera, and that way you're going to find that the more and more your personality comes out, the more you get used to doing video, then the more of these little quirky outtakes you're going to have, which you can then start to use, and then people will start to tap into your personality. I don't mind getting on camera with a mustache and a onesie, and that's actually brought me some clients, strangely enough, during the Movember campaign, which I did. So it's also just a learning curve, and you've got to, that first video is always going to be the most difficult, but you carry on creating these videos, you're going to get more in flow, you're going to get more of your actual personality out, and that's going to be able to enable the pattern interrupts to be a little bit easier. Any other specific ideas, AJ, for pattern interrupts that you've just observed, the videos that you've seen that have been quite cool?
Some of the stuff is just scenery stuff. If you're doing a fitness video, but it's, you're on the beach and, it's a yoga pose or, it's a move on the a handstand or something like that. And that's the opening scene. It's going to draw people in because it's different. Essentially what you're trying to do is be different in some sense. And it could be just the smallest of things. People don't have to go crazy and get all elaborate and dress up like Simon does. But the key here is just basically you've got, 5 seconds essentially. You got less time than that, but 5 seconds essentially where you need to do something to bring them in. And it could be longer, it could be shorter, whatever, but it just needs to it needs to be the head snapping moment where they can't ignore it. They have to see what it's about.
Yeah, and I mean, something which I picked up when I did like my TV presenter training was, especially if you've got someone else holding the camera, a good thing to do is to go from, like, say you've got like a really strange picture on the wall, and then you're standing there as the presenter. What you can do is you can start the shot off on the strange picture, which is going to be the pattern interrupt, and then you can move to the presenter. So it's like it moves from one shot to the other, and then you start talking as soon as the camera's on you. And that's a good little simple way to do a little pattern interrupt.
Cool.
So on to content ideas. You're probably wondering, well, what the hell am I going to talk about? Well, there should be no shortage of topics for you to talk about as a Fit Pro. And, this is also another lead generation technique, which I teach my clients, which is, especially if you're in a big box gym, a lot of the time trainers have that fear of going approaching. And so you want a reason for. And so what you can do is you can just get yourself a clipboard and go up to people in the gym and say, "Hey, sorry to bother you, but just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. What's your biggest challenge at the moment with your training? And also, what's your goal? Because I'm just putting together some videos and I just want to share some content." So that opens up a conversation, which is non-salesy. If you feel that you're being salesy in your mind, it sparks a conversation, which may then get you into a client trainer relationship. But then also you've got this list of questions that then you can turn into content. So a good initial video is just to answer the biggest question that you get asked by your clients, which might be, what should I eat if I'm hungry after a session? Or the other question might be, what should I do if I don't have time to go into the gym and I'm away at an event? What quick workout could I do? All right. So anything that you get asked on a regular basis, you have to understand is that it's not just that person that wants to know. It is actually a big element of your community will also be interested in that answer too.
Cool. I think you said it all on that one. So the second idea for creating content, and honestly, there's so many different things. These are just a little snippet here, these 10 ideas. But, one of the easiest things to do is just to give tips, just to do tip videos. And of course, we can do workout tips, we can do nutrition tips, we can do technique tips. There's so many different things you can do. And people are always searching for how to do the correct exercise, the correct movement, what nutrition, like what supplements they should take, things like that. So you can do tips on that, and those create little videos for you. And it's basically education. And people, when you can educate them, people then of course assume that you're the expert and you're the authority. So you can put that stuff out there, and it can be value add for your current clients. And of course, it's definitely value add for anyone who's searching out there and looking for information. And they're going to want to reach out to you, and they're going to want to work with you because you're the person who basically enlightened them or brought forth the information they were looking for. And so you're the guy they're naturally going to be attracted to and want to move forward with, because at the end of the day, once you know, like, and trust someone, it's only makes sense that you want to do business with them.
Definitely. You can also use like popular magazines. I'm sure you've got a stack of fitness magazines like Men's Health or bodybuilding magazines, whatever you are into. Just kind of flick through there and get ideas. Great way to get ideas is using the cover of magazines. Spark an idea. Maybe you've been reading through a newspaper and you've seen an article, and then use that as a lead into a video.
Yeah, I mean, you think about magazines, and we did this a lot when we were when we were working on the product together. The covers of magazines, the headlines and things like that, they have to sell the magazine, and some of the highest paid copywriters working for these companies. And in terms of the content of the magazine, everything in there is calculated and it's put in there for a reason. And so you can, a lot of the times, like you say, from the magazines, you can draw stuff that obviously is going to be an interest to a lot of people. That's how they make their money, and these people have done the hard work for you basically, and you can just look at it and leverage it.
Yeah, I mean, I've just if you go to Google Images and type in Men's Health cover, then it basically what it does is it brings up all the covers for Men's Health. And so what you can do is I'm just bringing up some here, and I've got one called Bigger Arms Now. So you might want to do a video on how to get bigger arms. Lose Your Gut is another headline. Another one is Get Back in Shape, Sex Appeal. It's endless.
Oh, I like that one. I like that one.
Strip away fat, 8-pack abs. I mean,
And I better stop buying Men's Health magazine.
I think it's just the amount of times that they run an ab-based headline. It's probably about 80% of the time that they run that, which obviously goes to show that, a good, especially if your market is guys, then talking about abs is obviously going to be a good focal point for your videos.
Yeah, you don't really ever see anyone on the cover of Men's Health saying "put the fork down, fatty."
Are you talking to me there, AJ, again?
Moving swiftly along. The other thing that you can do is you can do the frequently asked questions that you think people should ask you. So, as professionals, we get asked a lot of questions, and a lot of times the questions are very similar. People ask the same questions over and over and again. And a lot of times they're not really the questions they should be asking. They're the questions they want the answers to, but they're not necessarily the questions they need the answers to. And so you can create a series of FAQs that basically are questions that people should ask you, and you could shoot a video for each one of them and put them out there. And when you've done that, you imagine you got all the Q&As that you've shot from what people are asking you. Now you got all the Q&As you've shot from what people should be asking you. You're basically creating a massive resource for anyone who stumbles across it or finds it, because hopefully you're actually sending people to these videos. And, we've talked about that before, and we'll continue to talk about it and how to do that. But, this is such an easy thing to do because we all have those questions that we want to ask people, and they should be asking us. So this is just another way to create content.
Awesome. Tip number 5, which is in the trenches. AJ, I have no idea what this one is.
Well, in the trenches, I'm just talking about filming your workouts. You're training people, you're training clients, and you're basically creating almost like a highlight reel of what's going on. Okay. People love to watch other people working out. This has been done so many times, in different industries, but essentially it's basically almost like a follow along workout. People want to see you in action. They want to see the exercises being done. When you do that, you create great content. You can do a voiceover for it and basically walk people through it. But in the trenches, it's basically just you training someone or training a group of people and then camera showing that. And you can do a little voiceover explaining what's going on, what each exercise is. But people love that stuff. And it's almost like the reality TV. People love that stuff, and it goes over really well.
Yeah, you can become your own TV star, when you get the confidence, once you get doing videos, once you start doing them on a regular basis, it really is up to you the amount of variety that you can give across. It doesn't have to just be questions. It doesn't have to just be workouts. It can be just a variety of things so that people are like, what is coming next from this Fit Pro? And that's what this needs to be about. As much as about content, it also needs to be about entertainment, because people want to laugh, people want to get to know you as a person, but they also want to be informed. So when you combine all of these things together, then that's what makes a good show, what makes a good video, what makes you separate from the competition.
Yeah. Idea number 6 we got down here is news and trend reports. And Simon, you've done a lot of regular television and you understand presenting in a good way. So why don't you kind of explain how to take media and present it in a way, get your own spin on it, present it and kind of use that to grow the business.
So the good thing to do is obviously you want to see on what's trending, and you can use Twitter for that. You can find out what's trending. You can also obviously just want to stay in touch with what's going on in the media, what's popular. So for example, if there's a story about a popular celebrity and they've done something, they've been training in a certain way, then you can go and especially if they're kind of, let's look at Miley Cyrus when she was at her peak. I mean, she was at her peak for it was ages she was trending for, right? Because of that MTV thing. And so if at that point, so actually I had someone reach out to me on my Facebook page and they were a struggling songwriter and they said to me, I want to be more popular. And I said, why didn't you do something which is controversial? And so what she did was she piggybacked off the back of Miley Cyrus's media. And do you know what? She got on a radio show within 24 hours of that conversation with me. Just because she piggybacked off the media, she then put a video on YouTube of her with a guitar singing this song. It got picked up by some Australian magazine. And so it just goes to show that small actions, if you leverage celebrities, for example, is a really good way to build a business. And you can do this in a variety of ways. You can give your own personal thoughts on something which is happening in the media, especially if you're controversial, especially if you are going against the grain and actually completely disagreeing with something which is being said. Especially in this industry, there's so much talk going around and everyone's kind of arguing with each other. I believe this to be true and this research is a load of rubbish. And, everyone's kind of happy to comment and troll each other. And I'm going to go off on a rant here saying, look, if you're a trainer, then just kind of, I don't think there's anything wrong with disagreeing with people. But when you start slamming people and putting them down, that's just because of a sense of, well, a lack of confidence, right? It's like those that are successful don't need to do that. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do a video and be controversial and put your opinion out there, but there's a big difference between that and like literally putting someone down and making them feel bad.
Yeah. I totally agree. You know what? It's funny you were talking about Miley Cyrus, and all I was thinking about was some fitness trainer is going to come out with a twerking fitness program. Like
I am on that.
How to twerk your buns to rock solid buns or something, rock solid twerking or something like that.
Well, there is an info product ready to be made. I firmly believe it. It's the twerking twerk out 90-day
the twerk out
90-day transformation program.
Okay, as long as you're not the one gonna do it, I'm okay with this.
Guys, girls, there's gonna be pictures of me in hot pants twerking on YouTube within a matter of hours.
Oh dear Lord. All right, we're gonna move along because that now is meant to stay in my mind. That is gonna haunt me for the rest of the day. But number 7 is interviews. Right? One of the easiest thing to do is be interviewed or interview other people for, other people who could provide value to your community. So for instance, you could interview a chiropractor, you can interview a massage therapist, you can interview a physical therapist, you could interview a nutritionist. So you can go interview other experts, okay? And you basically providing value to the community, and then you can go interview, specialists in things that maybe that you're not an expert in. It's okay not to always be the expert at everything, right? It's okay to bring in other people who are smarter than you or know more on a specific topic than you. And interviews are such an easy way to create video content and to set up and to do. And you'll be surprised. It's really not that hard to get people to do interviews with you. If they say no, it's usually not because they don't want to do the interview. It's usually because they're so busy, they don't have time to do the interview. But in general, most people will say yes. And if you use something like Meet Me to Schedule and you can schedule in advance, maybe a month out, 2 months out, usually you can get a lot of people to say yes and do interviews with you. It's not that hard to go beyond. But of course, locally, you can easily find local people, I'm sure, who'd be willing to be interviewed. But even on the bigger scale, going to the top experts, authors of books and people who are speaking on large seminar stages and things like that, they're really not that hard to get a hold of. If you have a platform for them and you have a somewhat of an audience, most of the time they're willing to be interviewed because they want to get their message out there and they want to share it. So they're happy to do that with you. And of course, for you, it's great because now you're providing your community, your followers with information that you not necessarily have or could share with them.
It's also a great way to start to secretly build a really good relationship with someone because, if you want an angle and the way to kind of befriend someone, then a great way is to go and say, "Hey, would you mind being interviewed for my YouTube channel?" And I'm sure people will find it really valuable. And that way you can start to build a relationship, and that's just a great way in.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's much better to do an interview or something or to get to know someone and to present them to your community first than it is to say, hey, could you promote me, and that's where a lot of people make a mistake, and we'll save that for another episode. We'll talk about joint ventures and things like that. I think it deserves a full episode. We keep building on this. We got a lot of episodes we're gonna have to film. We go off on these rabbit holes here, and it sparks all these ideas. But, essentially, like Simon says, if you want to start building a relationship, this is one of the best ways you can do that, because not only do you get to interview the person, you get to learn about them, but you get to have the before and after conversation, before the interview, after the interview, where you can get to know them a little bit better and kind of start to build that relationship. And then, of course, when you see them next time, they're going to remember you, they're going to know who you are. And, it's a great way to start to meet people you want to meet.
Before I forget, good videos to do are the ones that you really don't want to do. Like the ones that you're thinking, oh my God, if I post this, it's gonna, it's gonna really spark people's opinions. Those are the ones you want to do. The many a time. So what I do personally is I go, right, I want to create a video and I want to create some content, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit awkward, and I'm like, resistance. Okay, I'll do it. That is my thought process. I'm like, I wait for the resistance to come, going, Simon, you really shouldn't post that because you're going to get someone coming up with a crazy opinion of you, and they might send you a message telling you you're an asshole. And I'm like, yay, and then move forward with it. That's just my view.
No, it's about reframing, right? It's all about reframing. And before, you would have probably viewed that as a negative. Oh, don't do that. Versus now, it's a signal that you should do it. So you've changed what the reaction is meaning to you. You've changed the meaning. So instead of it being don't do it, it's now do it. And the reaction of the resistance is a trigger to say, okay, I should post, versus a trigger to say I shouldn't do this. And I think that's where most people are stuck, and they get those resistance. And, I did that whole presentation on Underground about resistance, but that whole purpose of that resistance is basically, as you get closer to doing what you're supposed to do, the resistance grows, it gets bigger. So it's definitely a trigger to say this is the right thing to do. So it's cool you brought that up. It definitely is something that people should be aware of, because they will have resistance every time they go to post a video.
I just wish I could use the same philosophy and action to dating, but that's just another story. So number 8. Okay, so the problem with numbers continues, and I think that will continue for eternity. Number 8 is product reviews and things like supplement reviews. I'm sure that on a regular basis you are trying out proteins, different types of fish caps. In fact, a friend of mine used to get his very young daughter to put a fish cap in her mouth, and then she used to break it and just swallow the liquid. And it was just like, that was a great video that he posted. So if you decide that you want young children to split fish capsules in their mouth, then video that. But on a serious note, yeah, product reviews. So that's a great way to reach out to different businesses as well, and ask them for product. I know, AJ, you get a lot of product which comes into your household for testing, and it's just a great way to also position you as the authority that you're talking about. But it can also be a great way to sell supplements too.
Yeah, if you want to see a great example of a product video show, Wine Library TV is phenomenal. And the thing is, you don't have to like the product you're reviewing. If Gary V, he does wine, and he's honest about it, man. He says what it tastes like. This tastes like dirt. It tastes like a rotten sock or something. He's like honest. And if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. So you could do the same thing. You could literally do a whole thing on protein, and you could do a protein review every week and say what it tastes like, and whether it's whether it tastes good, whether it tastes bad, and you'll gain a following, and you'll gain people who are interested and want to learn from you, because they're buying the stuff whether you're telling them to or not. And so when you start to do the reviews and things for them, you save them the time, the energy, and having to figure out what's good, what's not good. And so again, another great way to create content.
Number 9, which is whiteboard demos. Now, I know up in the San Diego hills that you work with Andy, and you do the marketing genesis stuff, and you've kind of transisted from the traditional whiteboard into the virtual whiteboard, and that's probably pushing it a little bit far for most people. But at a baseline level, it's really good to just get a whiteboard and just maybe just start drawing out some examples and diagrams and you know fat levels or whatever you want to talk about, and just really visualize it on a whiteboard. And the reason why that is good is it hits different modalities. People are listening to you, they're seeing something, it's moving, you're using different colored pens, and it's just like it's all about keeping engagement. If you can keep people watching your videos for as long as possible, then that's great. Now, part of that is going to be in front of camera, is talking, is using scenery, but if you can use a whiteboard, then that's a really, really beneficial thing to do. In fact, I've got in the room which I'm recording this podcast in, I have three whiteboards. There's one to my left, which has all of my goals and targets on it, and it's got all my income. The one behind me is just, it's more of a glass whiteboard, and so it's got all of my kind of brainstorming. But then also I have this little tiny whiteboard, which I picked up for like £10 at a Staples store. And that's just for like when I just want to do a little video and I'm just out and about and I just want to draw something on there or hold it up and say, take more action or whatever I want to do. And just like you can just get video, so you can get whiteboards of all different sizes.
Yeah, and we're talking about face-to-camera videos here pretty much for all of these in terms of you're going to be on camera, and there is other ways to do it. You can do the slideshow presentation. So the whiteboard demo, like a lot of the videos we do, and we have Video Genesis, which is a product that basically walks people through all the different types of video you can create. But essentially, the whiteboard demo is the base level, and then you got your slides where you can transition from face to camera to slides and all this fancy stuff. But the thing that Simon mentioned that's really important, and he mentioned it really quick, so I want to highlight it again, is that it hits different modalities in which people learn. Some people are visual, some people are audio. And so when you have the images there to go along with the audio, it increases their chances that they're going to retain and remember the information you're sharing with them. And most gyms, have whiteboards, and so you can just shoot right in front of the whiteboard. And if you're an online guy and you want to get, I'm sure you can rent space in someone's gym. You can ask them, hey, what's a dead hour? Can I rent that hour from you and go into their gym and use their gym? So whiteboard demos are great. Number 10, and I saved this for last because it's one of those things that people don't think about as terms of creating video, but it's really customer testimonials. Too many people, they rely on written testimonials, and really, written testimony is great, but there is still some level where people can say, well, that's made up, that might not be true. But video testimonials, man, people can see the results, and they can see how happy someone is and they can bond with it. And again, going back to like your patent interrupt and stuff like that, you can create one video that has a series of testimonials where each one's talking about you started in a different way. So it cuts from person to person to person talking about where they were before, and then it cuts from person to person to person talking about what it was like working with you, and then what results they got. So you don't have to do your traditional testimonial where you just have one person in front of it. You can mix it up like that and create that pattern interrupt and create this unique video, and then that's how we go forward. And, people love that stuff. People love to see other people's results because then they can put themselves in those shoes.
Yeah, definitely. Customer testimonials is something I always used to do. I used it with Lunchbox Diet. We used it with Paleo in a Box. I use it over at simonlovell.co.uk. We see a bunch of testimonials there. And the thing is, you just need to ask. When someone has got a result, that is, we talked about this before in referrals. But the best time to ask is when someone's in a peak emotional state, they've had a result, and you just say, hey, would you mind if I whip out my camera and get that on camera? And some people...
you whip it right out.
Just whip it out in front of them and say, do you mind if I film that? Let's just use that exact phrase. Do you mind if I whip it out, and do you mind if I film it? Just see what action you get.
All right, so we were talking about how to create the video and come up with content. You see how I just glided right over that. Very professional over here. So basically, that's how you create content, but how you deliver it is needs to be calculated as well. And my favorite formula is basically, regardless of how it is, like whether it's a Q&A, whether it is an FA, whether it's in the trenches or whatever, but it's basically problem, personal story, and solution. So what I mean by that is your beginning of your video, you do the pattern interrupt. And then when you get into the content, it's basically like, hey, there's this problem, or there's a problem, or, you may be thinking this, or this may be bugging you, or I often get asked this question. So you introduce what the video is about, basically, which is the problem, which is, what you're going to review. So if it was a supplement review, you'd say the problem basically would be, a lot of supplements taste really bad. And so I'm going to do a supplement review. So there's a problem there. You're creating a problem. The personal story is, of course, to bond, and that's where you tell your story with it. If you were talking about people struggling to lose weight, you could tell your own personal story about struggling to lose weight. If you're talking about, if you're doing a supplement review and you're talking about trying to find different pills, you could talk about your experience with fish oils and how, certain ones make you burp and your breath smell and, so you relate to that. You tell the story. And then the solution, of course, is basically what you did to change that or what they can do to change that. And so that little 3-step formula can form your videos. And remember, these are pretty short videos that you're going to be creating because people's attention span isn't that great unless you really go all out. But, that little 3-step formula for me has worked really well. All right. And of course, the last thing we need to talk about when creating video is really what you do at the end, right?
Yeah, so, there's no point in making these videos if you don't have a clear idea of what you want the outcome be. And you can use that for any type of content, blogs, videos, podcasts. There needs to be a clear reason and an action you want people to take. And so a call to action is that. It's what action, what micro commitment do you want someone to take after they've watched the video? You don't want to leave them hanging. And so that micro commitment could be, hope you enjoyed the content. Please click the link below to go to my website. It might be to, send me a PM message if this is uploaded on Facebook. Please, put a comment below. Please call me. Please, put your email. Please share this post. Decide before you create the video, what is the specific action that you want someone to take? And it's good to vary them up, but it's also good to do what's specific to the video. So obviously some calls to actions are going to be more sensible to one video than they are to another. And so if you're starting out, and my suggestion would be is to just get some kind of engagement. If your first video is, for example, answering the biggest question you get, and you just start off by doing that on your personal profile, then start with just getting some engagement going instead of trying to go for a sale or trying to, do a video which is just being basically an advertisement for your business. Start to build a relationship and start to provide some value, and then just get some engagement going. And then you can start to vary up the calls to actions and see what works. And ultimately, marketing is just about seeing what works and doing more of it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Really, yeah. You mentioned the word micro commitment, which is a word that we've been using a lot recently around the office. And the thing with the micro commitment is you have to understand is when you're talking to people, if you're asking them to give you their name and email address or their phone number, that's a big commitment. That's a huge step. Whereas if you're asking them to post under the video or to click a link, that's a micro commitment. That's basically you're getting them to move forward with you without giving up everything, right? And so they're still in control. They're still in, and they haven't, signed over to you. They're not their email address, which is still, people consider that to be still quite private, So that's the idea of the micro commitments. And that's why, when getting started, it's sometimes better not to go all out just asking for the sale, because at the end of the day, we want people to move forward in that relationship. And the more they move forward and the more they, interact and do as we basically ask at the end of the video, which is the call to action. The purpose of the call to action is to get them to do what we want. The more they do that, then when you do present your offer and you do, or you along the pipeline. So if let's say you click to the website, and then on the website, the next action is to give you their email address, and then they give you your email address. The next action is to reach out to you or to fill out the form or whatever it is. When they get to that point in the funnel, or they get to that point in the sequence, essentially they're ready to give it to you because they've said yes, they've said yes, they've said yes, and so the likelihood is much, much higher.
Definitely. So in terms of getting it out there, it's like, well, I've got my video, it's on my iPhone or it's on my camera. What do I do with it next? Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is obviously you're going to want to set up your own YouTube channel. Now, of course, on the podcast, we can't give you specific step-by-steps for, everything to do. So you want to be, going to YouTube and finding out how to set up a YouTube channel if you haven't already got one. But I'd imagine if you've got a Gmail account, you probably would have one already. So now it's just a case of uploading your videos. Just something to mention, you also want to be putting it onto Facebook, onto your personal profile, onto your business profile. But just a little tip, it's better to upload videos direct to Facebook than embed YouTube videos onto Facebook. Okay. So my advice personally would be to upload a video to Facebook, but also to put it onto YouTube so that you get that extra search traffic. And of course, you want to name the video appropriately. And that way, you've got other video platforms, you've got different tools that will spit it out to, lots of, Vimeo and all the other ones. I'm sure AJ might have a couple of resources that enable that. But as a starting point, you can start to reach your audience via Facebook with the video, with Twitter, with YouTube, and even though you might not get, instant gratification, it's more likely on Facebook than it is on YouTube, then it's just about real estate. It's about having more little houses, and those little houses are videos. The more houses a real estate person has got, the more money he's going to make. So, you can't expect to get a load of website to your traffic if you've only got one blog post. If someone's got 1,000 blog posts, they're going to get more traffic to their website. So the more videos you put out, if you put 20 videos out over the next 20 days, each with personal trainer in your area on YouTube, chances are you're going to have more videos than the other trainer in your area.
Exactly. It's about being everywhere, and it's not any harder to be everywhere than it is just to be some in one place, because tools like Traffic Geyser, for instance, will publish all these different places for you. You upload it once and then it distributes it for you. So it's not any harder to put it just on YouTube as it is to blast it out to a bunch of different places. And the benefit of that is you're everywhere where people are, and so you're going to be in front of more people, and that's the key, is getting in front of as many people as you can, because it really is, at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. The more people you're in front of, the bigger chance it is that your business is going to succeed and do well, because more people are going to want to seek you out and work with you.
Also, Pinterest is another good one too. I know this is probably more on a national level. If you're a local trainer, then some of the platforms like Pinterest won't apply, but I know it's certainly going to apply for those that want to develop info products and such. But Pinterest, even though it is a image platform, it also supports video, which go directly into the design. So that's pretty cool too. So I definitely recommend that if you've got a Pinterest account, that you put your YouTube video links in there and get some. You also get some link love, which is the backlinks too, which is getting a bit technical for this, but there you go. So we are coming towards the end of the podcast. We do have the book of the week. We also the book of the week. This podcast may be more than weekly. Book of the episode. We also have got a shout out coming up. Also our quote and some other awesome stuff coming up. So stay around, guys. If you've enjoyed the episode so far, please head to the Fitpreneurs podcast over at iTunes and give us a review. We've still got more content coming up. In this episode, we're going to be covering some lighting bits, some other little tips, other little setup bits that you can do. But as always, we would really appreciate your love when it comes to a rating. Please subscribe in iTunes. Make sure you get those instant updates as soon as one of the episodes is uploaded, and then you can listen to that on the go wherever you are. But of course, we would love for you to support us. Share the page, just hit us up, send us a message saying you enjoyed the episode, and of course, keep the questions coming because we want to answer those. So,
all right. So, I'll let you talk about your setup, because, we have quite the elaborate setup up at the office. We got about 6 or 7 cameras, and, we're wired in through black magic boxes and stuff like that in order to be able to broadcast from multiple cameras. But, most people are not going to have that setup. And, obviously the simplest thing is an iPhone or a Samsung or something like that with a plug-in microphone. That's one of the easiest setups. But Simon, you've got kind of a decent setup, and it doesn't cost that much to get going. So share what you've got going on.
So I use my iPhone for like kind of simple videos on Facebook, which I would just like put up daily. But in terms of the videos on simonlovell.co.uk and a lot of the videos I do, it's actually a camera, and it's a Canon 550D, which I think I originally got refurbished on eBay. And the great thing about that camera is it's got an external mic socket, and that's what you want. When you're doing video, then the audio is really important, but also the lighting's important too. We could go a lot more in depth on this, but we don't want to on this episode. But I used to have like a little Rode boom mic on the top of it, which is about 120 quid. But now I actually use a Sennheiser radio mic, and that's more expensive. The actual mic itself is about £500, but it gives really good quality audio. Now, if you're going to commit and do lots of video, then the return on investment is going to be good. But if you buy a load of video equipment and you're not going to do video, then obviously it's not a sensible thing. So I use a Canon 550D, or in the States, that's called a Rebel T2i, and I use a 50mm lens. The real reason why I got that set up was that it's pretty professional and it allows you to kind of blur the background and have a really nice soft look to it. I then use Final Cut on the Mac to edit the videos. That has actually come down from about $1,500 to like $300 or £200 now. So I use Final Cut for editing, and I have a Sennheiser radio mic. And in total, the cost of that entire setup would probably be the camera about 300, the lens 400, plus the mic about 500 for the mic, so about £1,000. But you don't need to get the mic at that stage. I actually upgraded to that at a certain point. But you can get a HD camera with an external mic. You can get a decent video setup for a couple £100. Another little tip which I want to give is that you can also find local students in your area that are doing video projects, and you could actually hire them to do something really decent for you. Maybe it's like a show reel, or if you've got a studio, maybe you want them to come in and shoot clients training and you two talking about your business, and you want something a bit more professional. Well, you could actually just go and find some students who are working on a university project and saying, would you mind doing this, and I'll slip you a couple £100. And if you head to the fitprostory.com, that actual trailer video was shot by some really awesome students. I'm really finding it hard to get my words out. I need some water.
All right. Well, I'll carry on. So basically, that wraps up the meat and potatoes, the content. And the thing with the video is we share. The reason I wanted Simon to share is because he kind of has a middle of the range setup, but it produces phenomenal video. And you really wouldn't know that it cost around $1,000 for that. Like I said, we got an extensive studio. We do a lot of video stuff, and you guys have probably seen our production quality, but the point is just to get started. So if that means videos with the iPhone, and videos with the iPhone, it's not that big of a deal, guys. It shoots such high quality. Just make sure you upload it in high definition. It'll take longer to export when you go through your editing program and upload. But you literally can just point, shoot, and upload from the phone if you want to. But you probably want to edit it in there a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's about getting the content up. And the more content you get up, the better. And again, remember quality, though. We want to have quality content. So make sure what you're giving is quality information. As long as the information is good and solid, people are going to love it. All right. So that wraps up the meat and potatoes. We're going to move on to the shout out from around the web. And this week actually comes from a client of mine, Matt Holmes. And, Matt wrote, basically, I know in the past episode you guys said to share a story of changing prices. AJ, you already know this, and it is so true. I was charging $1 for a 7-day trial, then $24.95 a month for a membership site, and it's just as hard as me now charging $1,500 per month for coaching and a 5-day retreat. It's a total shift in mindset, but it's not that hard as I thought it would be. It really is not that hard. As you guys said, provide a higher value. I just put an alarm in my phone to remind my clients to eat their meals, and they get busy, and because they get busy and sometimes forget. Boom. I wouldn't much rather have 4 to 5 clients paying me that much than a few hundred semi-committed people paying me $24.95. So the backstory on that was Matt, basically was running a membership, and we worked together to create this $1,500 per month program. And now he just focuses on getting a few clients per month versus having to get a couple of hundred clients in order to stay in the same income. So congrats to Matt for doing that. It takes a lot to step up. And if you guys have a success story, if you've been listening to this and you've started implementing this stuff and it's made a difference in your business, let us know, guys. We love to hear about that. That's why we do this. We want to see you guys succeed. We want you to be successful fitpreneurs, and we want to hear about it. So let us know.
Definitely. Let us know. Head to the website, get to the contact page, send us a message on the Facebook page at facebook.com/fitpreneurs. Now, moving on to the question. And the question comes from James Smith, and he asks, how do you make regular extra cash on top of your group and one-to-one personal training sessions? And that's a great question. I'll start off by saying that a fantastic way is to look at developing a passive income stream. When I first started out, many of you know that I had an ebook that was called The Lunchbox Diet, which turned into a six-figure book deal with HarperCollins and turned into an Amazon bestseller. And then I built out a digital product suite and then developed products with a guy called Justin called Paleo in a Box, and that ended up being a passive income, a high price passive income program. And then you can also do coaching, on Skype. And really, if you leverage your time and you produce the information once, then you can sell it over and over again. So I know that many of you listening really have been in the industry for a while. You're getting fantastic results, but that information is just kind of up there in your mind, and you can actually turn that information and position it as a premium priced online program and then start generating a passive income for that so that you get paid. If you're in bed and someone's in there in Australia, if you're in the UK, or if you're in Australia and there's someone in the UK while you're sleeping, then they could be buying your product online. If you set up a marketing funnel, if you have a decent product, of course, there's lots of pieces to the jigsaw here. But on a baseline level, creating and taking your information that you have and positioning that into a program which people can buy over and over again from when you produce it once, that's a great way to leverage your time, but also to bring in that secondary income stream. And I know that AJ's got some more ideas on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the best ways to do it because it's automated income, right? So it's a passive income stream. It's automated. It's hands off once you've created it. That's really what you want to be looking at. So, but you can look at that stuff in other areas of your business too, in terms of upsells, right? So you can get someone set up on a supplement, month-to-month supplement delivery system, and you get a little bit of a kickback on that. You can set stuff up like referrals to other people and get a kickback on it. So there's ways you can set up multiple streams of income where you have money coming in from things that aren't necessarily hands on, and that's really what you want to look at. It may even just be like at the end of a workout, providing like a smoothie or something, post-workout drink, whatever it is, and they pay for that, and then that's a passive income, because they at the end they go grab it, they leave, and you get paid for it. So it's about looking at those kind of things and those ways to add things in. And if you're doing group training one-to-one, what about nutrition? And it might not be you who does nutrition. Maybe you bring a nutritionist in. People pay that nutrition an extra $200 a month. That nutritionist gives you $50 or something for referring to clients. Those are the ways you got to look at it because it's about leveraging your time, and you only have so many hours in the day. So it's about figuring out, okay, how can I make more money without working more? Where are the holes? And that's what I'm really good at, is looking at where the holes are in the bucket, and then let's plug those holes and fill up your profits. And so that's really what you got to start looking at in terms of your business is, okay, like what are these people purchasing not from me, okay, and for their fitness and health quest? What is it they're buying, and what is it I can provide for them? And so when you look at it like that, you can start to say, okay, and how do I provide that? Is it like a joint venture deal? Is it an affiliate thing where I'm selling and making a kickback? Is it where I'm buying in wholesale and making a profit on markup? You got to look at those things. And that's how this is real business, guys. And that's what we're looking at. And of course, if you have the virtual assets and you have the programs and things online, if you've created a nutrition product, you can just send people to buy that. And so these are the ways you start to expand and grow. So a great question there.
Definitely. So, quote of the week. It comes from the one and only Stephen Covey, and he says, "Trust is the glue of life. It's the most essential ingredient in effective communication. It's a foundational principle that holds all relationships." And the reason that I pulled out that quote today is obviously linking it in with the video. Once you get that trust and people see you on camera, then they're much, much more likely to invest in you. And that also leads me into the book of the week, which is called The Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler. And the reason I like this book a lot is because it tells about how movie scripts are put together, and it really teaches you how to develop stories. And if you are better at storytelling, in fact, AJ, I think we should do another whole episode on storytelling. If you get good at storytelling and you start to understand why, Star Wars, why The Wizard of Oz, why these other big movies are so good, and you get that concept in your head, and when you come to produce video, guys, you're going to be in a much better position than to influence people, which is what this is about.
Absolutely. Challenge of the week. All right. Talking about video, we want you guys to create a video, and we want you to take the biggest question you get, All right. And we want you to post it. We want you to make a video. We want you to post it on Facebook. So upload it to Facebook, post it, and then ask people to leave you their comments, their thoughts, what they think, from the video. Tag me and Simon in the comments so we see the video. We'll check it out and we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, and so be sure to subscribe to us or add us as a friend. Facebook.com/boylovell for me, and whatever.
Facebook.com/AJ Robbins.
Yeah, so just a couple of things. Don't forget to leave us a review over at iTunes. Would be awesome. As we said, come and hang out over on Facebook. And you can also check out myself and AJ's individual products and services via the Fitpreneurs website if you head over there. And also, guys, do not forget, we are going to be launching the Fitpreneur Mastermind very, very soon. So we're going to be needing to get your applications in. So head to the Fitpreneurs website and head to Mastermind and fill out your application form. If you're not in a position because you aren't at the income level which is stated on that form, then it would be a benefit for you to reach out to either myself or AJ to help you scale your income so that you can get to that level so that you can move into the mastermind.
Yeah. That wraps up another show, guys. Thanks so much.
Take care, and we'll see you very soon.
Guys, thanks for the killer episode. Listen, if you want to take your fitness business to the next level, terminate your competition, create ultimate freedom, buy new houses, cars, which could blow up, travel the world, or open your own gym where you can lift really heavy weights, then head to www.thefitpreneurs.com/free call for details on how to apply for your free accelerator call. Until the next episode, hasta la vista, Fit Pros.